Welcome to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast, where trauma survivors become healthy thrivers. Each month, we'll feature a theme in the trauma recovery and empowerment field. To promote your recovery, healing, and learning how to build dreams, here is your host, Karen Robinson, transformational coach and therapist.
Welcome to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast. My guest today is Neena Perez. Neena is a transformational coach, a chef. I didn't see that before. An author and motivational speaker who empowers women to build impactful businesses rooted in their God-given talents. Having overcome teen pregnancy, domestic violence, and poverties. Stories she shares in her autobiography, Hit Me With Your Best Shot. I love that title.
Thank you.
Neena created her Wisdom to Wealth program through her 3-step process of inner healing, transcending unwanted behaviors, and co-creation. She helps women heal, shift their mindsets, and confidently steps into entrepreneurship. Neena, welcome to my show. That's quite the bio, and that's just the short one.
Thank you so much for having me, Karen. I'm really honored to be here.
That's a beautiful bio.
Thank you.
Are you still a chef? I
Yeah.
got stuck on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a chef for over 20 years, and I ran a couple restaurants and did all the chefing things. And now what I do is I actually help underserved communities. I teach them culinary, and then we help them find jobs in the culinary field. It's such a rewarding thing to do.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Tell me tell me the reasons why you decided adding coaching to your business seemed like a good fit.
Yeah, back in like 2002, I went to school to become a Christian leadership for women. So I did that for, I think it was like almost a 2-year program and everything. I started leading women that were going through a lot of heavy things, a lot of abuse, a lot of trauma, a lot of things. And I myself was still trying on that healing journey from all of my abuse and trauma and everything. And I realized that I had a gift of helping people shift their minds and move out of the stuckness that they felt in their life and the fear and all the things that were causing them to stay in the trauma instead of moving forward. And then of course, I went back to school, become a chef because it's always what I wanted to do since I was like 4 years old. And I started doing that. But even in that, I found myself leading people to their greatness in the restaurant and leading my teams and all of that kind of stuff and nourishing people physically, but also nourishing them emotionally, spiritually, and all of those areas. And I realized, what am I doing? Like having silos. Like I did coaching for many years, I did chefing for many years, but I never combined them. And lately I'm like combining them, especially in the work that I'm doing, helping people overcome their traumas and in their shortcomings and having them understand that they are also valuable and great and wonderful and they can let go of their traumas and create what they want to create in the world. And it's been life-changing. I love it.
It's really beautiful, Neena.
Thank you.
And I know you have your own personal story. I hope that you're not in any kind of traumatic event now, but it sounds like it's been in the past that you've had
Yes.
some trauma. Is there a piece of that you're willing to share with us today? And of course, there's no pressure to do.
Of course. Yeah. I wrote it in a book. So it kind of has to, it's out there now, Karen. Yeah. My life, I used to always think, oh, what a tragedy, my life. And I used to be very much in this victim mentality where I was always suffering and struggling. And when I wrote my book, it was very cathartic actually, because I thought I had overcome a lot of things, but I realized I didn't. And a lot of the stuff that I carry was shame and unforgiveness, and I just didn't feel worthy. And that doesn't mean those things don't still come up, but I'm definitely there shorter than I used to be. So what used to take me years to get through, then months to get through, then weeks, then days, now takes me minutes, right? But that's because of all the work. You do a lot of work to try to get through it. So when I was young, My father basically denied me since from birth. And then my mother was with a man who was severely abusive, but she ended up having an affair. And that affair she had was with my father. Her and my father both were having affairs because they were both married. And I was the product of that. So my mother almost got murdered because she was pregnant and the man that she was married to was infertile. So he knew she was having an affair. So it started there with all that trauma in my mom's life, which I then think that subconsciously she resented me for that. And so I didn't feel much love from her then. Now I do, but then I did not. We've healed that relationship, thank God. But she ended up dating a man who I thought was my father. He was in my life since I was a little girl, but he started sexually abusing me or molesting me at the age of 6. And I told my mother, but she told me to stop lying and shut up. So shut up. And what can I do? So that actually catapulted me into self-soothing. And the way I did that was with sugar, with food. And that became a really big part that I'm still at 52 am now getting a grip on this, on the food part. But the unworthiness, the not being able to have a voice because you're supposed to shut up, let it happen, shut up, don't say anything. That made me very angry and rebellious. And at the age of 13, met a boy. He was much older. He was like 17, 18. I got pregnant at 14 years old. My mother's, yep, I figured that's what you would do, that kind of stuff. Like very abandoned, very alone. Had a kid at 15, but that relationship was super abusive from the moment we started dating. And it almost ended in my murder. So he put a gun to my head. He told me nobody would have me or the baby, so he was going to kill all of us. But thankfully, and now because of my faith, I know that God was there because when he pulled the trigger, the safety got jammed on the gun and he couldn't unjam it. And that's the only reason why I'm sitting here talking to you today, Karen, because
It's
I
way
believe,
too close of a call.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
that was unbelievable. I was in complete fear and couldn't breathe and talked my way out of it by telling him how much I loved him, all that crap you have to say to get yourself out of stuff. And I lived
Mhm.
in, then I ran away with my child and I lived in a battered women's shelter for about a year and change. And then my life has been very hard. It's been like working a lot of jobs and trying to take care of a kid and trying to get through school. And I didn't go to college until I was 35 because I had to take care of my kids.
You have
Um,
so many roadblocks.
yeah, a lot of roadblocks, a lot of challenges, a lot of traumas, a lot of being homeless, and just a lot of things when I look back at my story and go, wow, how did I overcome all of that and yet still rise, right? Because one of the things with me was, I think it was because of the not feeling worthy that at every job I went to, I rose to management or director, every job. And I think it's because I had to prove my worth. I always have to prove my worth. And so I'm the one that comes in early, leaves really late, works really hard, takes on the extra jobs, that person, because I needed to have worth. I had to have worth. And I felt like that was how I found it, was at a job, at a paycheck, right? Because I didn't grow up with much. So when I saw that I can make 6 figures, oh, that means I'm amazing. I can do it, right? Meanwhile, while being sick, like physically, because I was eating badly and not taking care of myself and super stressed and not dealing with my trauma. Now I deal with autoimmune conditions and all kinds of stuff, right? So trauma trauma
Wreaks havoc.
yeah, it wreaks havoc. And if you don't confront it, you are constantly in this, I call it like a fog, like you're just not seeing clearly, right?
Yeah.
And I really got to the point where I had to understand that I had to feel it to heal it, you know? And that's been a big part of the work that I do. So I went back to school, got my master's in neurolinguistic programming, got positive intelligence, and my certificate as a life coach, and all the things I had to do to help myself. And then I realized that's not for just me. My
Yeah.
story is to help as many people as possible.
A couple things I'm really glad that you mentioned. I'm not glad that you have them, of course, but they're so common for survivors. And addiction is one of them. And for a lot of us, it is food. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. And I'm also glad you mentioned the immunity suppression because I don't think enough survivors put two and two together. And I just did a physical healing summit. It was May 2025 for anybody listening way in the future. And the theme was how trauma wreaks physical havoc in the body and how
Yeah.
do we heal the body. And yeah, from the tip of our head, no, to the top of our head, to the tip of our toes, is trauma can infect every single area. And it sounds like you've seen that firsthand. So
For
tell us a
sure.
little bit about how your healing journey has been,
Yeah.
personal healing journey.
Yeah, it's been like an up and down thing, right? There's been days where, yes, I got this, and there are days that, no, I don't want to get out of bed. So there's definitely ups and downs, but I realized that suppressing pain doesn't make it disappear. It stores it. And so I
Makes it
started to,
faster and gets worse, actually.
yeah, it gets worse, right? Because it
Mhm.
becomes like this thing inside of you where you start to have anxiety, you start to have a little depression, you start to not be able to move forward. It's a snowball effect, right? And so I had to really stop suppressing the pain and just face it. And that's what I do with a lot of the women too, because they come to me and they're wanting to build coaching businesses and other businesses, but they feel all of this stuff like they can't do it, they're not smart enough, all that stuff. But I encourage them, I encourage myself to acknowledge my emotions without judgment. Don't judge it, it just is. So, grief, anger, shame, fear, resentment, all of those things, you should be able to create a safe space for you and for others so that we can release those emotions because denying them, ignoring them is just not going to help. It's not going to do anything for you at all. I always talk about feeling it to heal it because I think that's super important. And yeah, and I'm a person of faith, right? So in Psalms, it says, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and he saves those who are crushed in their spirit. And so I think about that often. I don't know if you believe in God or not, but
Okay.
yeah. So that's a big part for me. I know that he's near me when I'm brokenhearted, and I know that he is going to help me through my crushed spirit at the time. And so I think it's important for all of us to take that moment to just start rewriting that narrative. Trauma does not have to be the final word. You are the
That's right.
final word, not the
Mhm.
trauma. Yeah.
Now, I love you're talking about the healing through spiritual healing, and you're talking about emotional healing with the what I say is feel, deal, and heal.
Mm.
One of my own coaches uses that. What other healing modalities do you? I know you write, but do you journal? Do you meditate?
Yeah, all of those. I really believe on rewriting our narrative. I guide myself and I guide others into separating our identity from our experiences. So instead of saying I am broken, I help them to reframe that. I survived something hard. I'm still standing. I'm still here. I'm still worthy. I am created. Like all of the things that I use. But yes, I write. In fact, I was doing that before we got on our call because every morning I do CEO meetings with God. So he's my CEO. So
Oh,
I have to make sure I do the
oh.
CEO. So I do a
I
lot.
want to hear. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
never heard anybody ever say that. I need to know more about those CEO meetings. Like, what exactly are you writing about?
Oh, so
That
I
is cool.
I actually created a journal which I'm going to be releasing soon, but it's basically me spending mornings with God and I do this every day and what I do is I have it structured in that I prepare my space, so I create a peaceful environment. Like, I'm not getting up in the morning to look at Instagram and YouTube and all the garbage that we compare ourselves to all the time, even though we say we don't, we do. And then I try to have this space that is very peaceful and get myself a nice hot lemon water or coffee, whatever. And then I start to maybe read a scripture to approach the word slowly instead of just skimming through it. Then I break it down. I start to break down, what does that scripture mean to me? What is it saying to me? What is God trying to say to me today? And then I reflect and I journal. Every day, I'm going to have a question that I have created like 30 to 40 questions that I use to prompt me into spending this time with God. And so every day is different. Today, I think I was on surrender. I was on the day surrender today. So the scripture was trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. and in all the ways he will direct your paths. So then I break that down and I start asking myself, what have I been holding on to in my life and in my business that God is asking me to surrender? And maybe it's an identity thing that you've been holding on to that you don't need to hold on to anymore. And what would it look like if I fully gave him that, if I really surrendered that identity that I created that kept me safe? For instance, the addiction to sugar, right? What happens if I give up that identity of being addicted to sugar, right?
Uh-oh, how am I going to cope? Because that
How
was
am I
my,
going to exactly?
I am on this very detailed walk right now. Detailed is really not the right word, but I have figured out that sugar has been my best friend most of my life.
Me too.
It was always there for me in the time of need. It was comforting, it was soothing, it was a lift, all the things. And to sever that relationship and lean on God more and lean on connections in general more is it feels a little unsafe. I
Yes,
believe God is safe, of course.
I
It's that
understand.
whole doubting Thomas can happen to us too, even with faith. And then we already know our personal connections, especially when the people who are supposed to love us are the ones that hurt us the
Yes.
most. It's really a challenge for us to believe and trust in our connections.
Yeah.
And that's like a part of the healing, right?
Yeah. It's funny that this came up because a few weeks ago when I was in prayer about surrender and God, why do I have this addiction? What is going on? Why do I feel this in my body? Because sometimes you have to pay attention to your body too. And I was feeling this tension in my body, in my throat area, that kind of stuff. And I immediately, God sent me right back to when I was a little girl. And when my stepfather started abusing me, I would eat spoonfuls of sugar as a little girl, and it gave me comfort. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I didn't know I started that. I forgot about that, completely forgot about that. And I realized at that moment, in this vision that I was having, it was almost like a timeline. And I went back to this space. It was almost like the enemy of our souls was just sitting there going, that's right, I groomed you. I groomed you to destroy yourself. And I realized, yes, all my life, that was a grooming. Let me go back to the sugar, it's comfort. Let me go back to the sweets, it's comfort. Let me go back to this, it's comfort. Now, I used to pride myself, Karen, on the fact that I wasn't an alcoholic, I wasn't a drug addict, I wasn't any of those things, so I'm good. I'm good. While I'm
A good
sitting,
girl
yeah,
still.
while I'm sitting there eating cake or stuff that is really hurting your system.
Yeah.
And I
It's
realized
self-sabotage. Yeah.
that's exactly what I was going to. That ourselves, we have been groomed to self-sabotage ourselves with people who have hurt us or things that have hurt us. And I think I want my body back. Not I think, I know I want my body back. And I'm 52 now, so I don't
We're
want
the same
to.
age, by the way.
Oh, awesome. So I want to live the rest of my life better. I don't want to
Mhm.
keep living. I can't take back those years now. They're lost. So I can take back now, now, right now, I can take that now. So I've decided to only eat God's food and I've been eating clean. It just started maybe like 2 weeks ago. I've already lost
Mhm.
about 10 pounds.
Ooh,
And yeah, it's been quite amazing. I've been following, I don't know if you know a coach, Parker. I think that's her name. And she is a Christian and she teaches women to eat only God's food and nothing else. And at first I was resistant and what you
God's
mean I
food's
can't have
not
my
ice cream,
coffee?
right?
No, it's not ice cream. It's whatever Adam and Eve could recognize on your plate.
Yeah.
So
I
not,
knew you were going to
yeah,
say that, by
yeah.
the way.
But it's been amazing. And to lose that much weight in 2 weeks and starting to feel amazing and good. And I'm like, God, so simple. God gives us everything and we just mess it all
We
up.
find ways to mess it. We complicate things
We
so
do so
much.
much.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what I do. I do a lot of my journaling. So my CEO meetings with God is super important and pausing, taking deep breaths. You'll notice that I've taken a few deep breaths already since we've been talking because when you talk about trauma and things like that, I like to breathe through it.
Very good.
And I also believe sometimes in just grounding, like just standing with no shoes on and just connecting to God and praying is very important to me as well. I think there's so many modalities that we can use to get ourselves through the trauma. But one thing you cannot do is ignore it. Yeah.
Or believe that you alone can heal everything without support and guidance and accountability. Not accountability for the abuse, but the accountability to work on your own healing. I think that's really important too.
It is. And you have to
So,
surround yourself with good people that you trust.
yes,
Yeah.
I wanted to see, because we have to wrap up,
Sure.
I wanted to see if there's a couple things that you wanted to say about your book. It looks amazing.
Thank you.
Let me ask you this question. And I know it's putting you in the position to brag about yourself for your work. So there's a lot of books about healing from trauma from survivors on the market. Some are very heartfelt, but not well written. Some are written, but not very heartfelt. And there's a few beautiful that are well written and from the heart. I suspect your book is more like that. Would you agree? And if so, tell me more.
Yeah, my book is really just written from the heart. It was actually written more for my own healing, my own words being actually put out there because I was always told to shut up. And so
And using your voice.
yeah, I used it to defy that shut up piece. And when I wrote it, I knew I was going to have a lot of conflict and my family would not want to speak to me. And they didn't speak to me for 8 months. They were very pissed off that I wrote this book, but it wasn't about them
Mhm.
anymore. It was about me and my healing. And so the reason I think anybody, if they want just a simple read, it's not difficult to read at all, but it does have a lot of events on there, so people should know that. But it's a roadmap to my healing and hope and transformation and finding faith and the way I rose up from being pushed down. And it talks about pieces of my life where I had a lot of shame and it talks about forgiveness when I had to forgive my stepfather and the what I did to do that, to overcome that, and how I helped my family and how I went through the stuff with my kids and all that kind of stuff. So it's really just my story. And what happened with that book was a lot of people were using it in book clubs. And they were telling me how it gave them permission to speak about what they went through. And if that helped one person, then Karen, I did my job. But I really wrote it for my own cathartic experience and to speak truth.
How come you're not claiming it as great writing too, though? If they're using it at book clubs, I don't think they're gonna pick a book that's hard to follow or has 8 million mistakes,
Right.
spelling and grammar in it.
I say that because it was self-published, right? I wrote it myself. I got it edited, but I wrote it myself and then
Ah,
yeah, and then I published it myself. And so you're right. I shouldn't downplay it that much, especially because it is my life on paper. But I feel like it's because I didn't have the $10 million contract
oh,
and
yes.
all of that stuff. So I think, again, that goes to the worth piece that I tell you I'm still
Mhm,
dealing with. That there's
mhm.
some moments where people like you who are ahead and have caught those moments in me, which I'm glad.
Oh, just a few steps ahead.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
think I'm a mile or two, just a few steps.
that's okay. That's all I need is a few steps for me to catch up a little bit more and then a little bit more. But what I love is that you called that out because that's what helps me grow, right? When I don't realize that I keep downplaying the things that I've done. I've helped many women overcome lots of things. And I'll always say, I think I've helped many women. No, I've actually helped them because they've told me I have the reviews, I have the write-ups, but I still do that. And so that's something I really have to work on. So thank you for mentioning that.
You're welcome.
See that? You're coaching
And
me right here on the podcast.
I like to take those opportunities when I see them because women that are healing uplift other women that are healing. And I love that you have the CEO with God Journal project coming up. What else is next for you? And maybe we can end on that note.
Yeah, so my podcast, Straight Talk, No Sugar Added, I think I'm rebranding.
Mhm.
I
I
really
love
want,
that name though.
thank you. Thank you. I might keep the name, but I think I'm going to rebrand the way I've been doing it a little bit, just a little. It's been all about like entrepreneurships and stories and stuff, and I love that. But I also miss not putting in my culinary into it because it's something I've been doing for 20 something years. So I'm actually working with my coach now to how do we integrate faith and coaching and culinary and all of that together to start creating the movement I've been wanting to create. Because when I have these cooking classes that become coaching sessions in the cooking classes, I just see the transformation in people's minds and how they have been able to, oh, I didn't see it that way because we're using ingredients as we're talking about it. And it's been powerful, literally powerful. So I think that's where I'm going next. So we'll see. And I'm going to be doing a few
Keep me
summits myself.
posted.
So yes, I will.
Oh, keep me posted for that too.
Absolutely
Yeah.
will. Thank you for having
And
me.
I'm also off sugar, so that we have that in common. I've been
Good.
off. I've been off since the first week of May.
Oh, good. How's it going?
It's going really well,
Good.
really well.
Yes.
I don't mean that to sound easy, but I'm doing really well on that.
Yeah.
Not easy.
No, it's not. It's definitely
It's like
not easy.
it's like asking me, how are you doing giving up your crack?
Right. No, it's true. It really feels that way. Especially the first week, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. The addiction is real. It's just amazing that we find ways, and this is how savvy we are and how smart we are, is that we do find ways to cope with things in our life. And instead of us downplaying it, just say, you know what, I found a way to cope. So let me find a different way to cope because I can do that. I've actually done it before. I can do it again. So that's where I'm at now in my journey.
Beautiful. I really appreciate you, Nina, taking time out of your busy schedule to be a guest on our show today.
I really thank you for having me. This was really fun. Thank you.
Thank you for listening in today. Please join us next week, same day and time. Also, I would love for you to check out my website, healthrivedream.com.